Hey friends, welcome to the Time for Living podcast, your ultimate guide to finding the time you need to crush your business dreams while still having time to live your one beautiful life. I'm your host, Lucy Clark, a devoted boy mum, dedicated business owner and time-finding expert. Say goodbye to the I'm too busy mindset that's holding you back from growing your online business. No more feeling overwhelmed or stuck in the same place year after year. Each week, we'll dive deep into strategies for being intentional with your precious time so you can hit those business goals while still making time for yourself and your family. If you're ready to create more time, get practical tips and prioritize the steps that will make the biggest impact on your business and life, then you're in the right spot. Pop in your earbuds, steal a quiet moment, and let's find time together. You know that feeling when you look at your revenue goals and think, I want this, but I don't know if I can sustain what it's going to take to get there. Not because you're not capable, not because you don't want it, but because somewhere in your body you already know if growth means more of what you're already doing, something's going to break. That's not fear talking, that's data. And today I want to show you why that friction you're feeling isn't a capacity problem you need to fix. It's a business design problem you need to recognize. Because your capacity isn't the issue. The issue is that your business is designed to require all of it, all of the time. And here's what I see happening. You've built a business that works. You're making revenue, maybe 5K, maybe 8K, maybe 10K a month. You've proven the model, you know how to sell, you know how to deliver, and now you want more. Not because what you have isn't enough, but because you can see the next level. You know it's possible. You have the vision for it. But when you start mapping out what it would take to get there, the plan feels heavy. More clients means more delivery. More revenue means more visibility. More growth means more decisions, more management, more energy output. And instead of feeling excited, you feel the friction. Not lazy, not unmotivated, just aware that the math doesn't quite up between what you want and what you can actually hold. So you start questioning yourself. Maybe I'm not ambitious enough. Maybe I need to push harder. Maybe this is just what growth feels like and I need to get over it. But here's what I want you to consider. What if the friction you're feeling isn't resistance to growth? It's recognition that your business wasn't designed to grow without requiring more of you. Because there's a belief that runs deep in entrepreneurship, and it sounds like this. If I want more, I have to do more. More revenue means more hours. More clients means more availability. More growth means more personal stretch. And for a while, that was true. In the early stages of business, effort and revenue were directly connected. You showed up more, you made more. You worked harder, you earned more. The correlation was clear. You answered every inquiry immediately. You customized every proposal. You stayed up late to finish client work. You said yes to every opportunity because you couldn't afford to say no. And it worked. That scrappy, all hands-on-deck energy got you traction. It got you clients. It got you revenue. So you internalized it. You built an identity around it. You became the person who could handle it, who didn't need things to be easy, who could push through when it mattered. And people praised you for it. Your capacity became your competitive advantage. Your responsiveness became your reputation. Your ability to carry a high mental load became the thing that made you trustworthy. Clients loved they could reach you anytime. People admired how much you could juggle. You wore your ability to handle complexity like a badge of honor. But here's the problem. That model has a ceiling. And when you hit it, it doesn't feel like a ceiling. It feels like something's wrong with you. Because if effort and revenue used to be directly connected, and now they're not, if you're working just as hard but growth feels harder, the easiest explanation is that you've changed, that you've lost your edge, that maybe you're not cut out for the next level. So let me show you what's actually happening. There's a pattern that most founders don't talk about, but every scaling founder eventually hits it. I call it the capacity threshold curve. In the early stages of business, effort directly increases revenue. One-to-one, you do more, you earn more. The relationship is clean. You spend an extra hour following up with leads, you close another client. You post more on social media, you get more inquiries. You add another service call to your week, you make more money. The math is simple. In the mid-stage, effort starts increasing complexity. You're not just delivering anymore, you're managing, you're deciding, you're holding more pieces in your head. Revenue is still growing, but the weight of it is growing faster. Now you're juggling client communication, project timelines, invoices, marketing, and business development all at once. You're making decisions about pricing, positioning, hiring. Every new client adds not just delivery work, but administrative overhead. Every new offer creates more to track, more to manage, more to hold. And in the growth stage, the stage you're now in, effort without intentional design actively reduces sustainability. Because at this level, adding more effort doesn't just increase your workload, it increases decision load. It increases the number of open loops you're carrying. It increases the cognitive overload of keeping everything running. You're not just thinking about this week's deliverables, you're thinking about next month's cash flow. You're thinking about whether to raise your prices. You're thinking about that proposal you need to send. You're thinking about whether you should hire help. You're thinking about 3 client projects, 2 potential leads, and the marketing you haven't done in weeks. And when your capacity is exceeded, not because you're weak, but because nothing is designed to hold it, things start breaking down. Decisions multiply, revenue becomes inconsistent, your personal life absorbs the overflow. This is not a motivation issue. This is not a mindset issue. This is what happens when a business is running on personal capacity instead of operational design. And the reason it feels so disorientating is because the thing that used to work, pushing harder, is now the thing creating instability. You're doing everything that got you here, but it's not getting you there. So let's reframe this. Your capacity isn't the problem, your capacity is fine. The problem is your business is designed to assume your capacity is infinite. And here's what I've noticed. High capacity founders don't build businesses that protect their energy. They build businesses that assume their energy will always be available. The business works until it doesn't. When you're operating at or beyond capacity, here's what happens structurally. Every decision takes longer. Every client conversation requires more recovery time. Every new opportunity feels like a calculation instead of a yes. And because you're a high capacity person, you don't see this happening in real time. You just realize that things feel harder than they should. That growth feels like it costs more than it used to. That revenue requires more of you than it did 6 months ago. But the business still works, so you keep going. And quietly, your personal life becomes a place where the overflow lands. You're shorter with your kids, you're more tired at the end of the day, you stop doing the things that used to refill you. Not because you don't value them, but because there's no space left. This is what happens when a business is built to run on you instead of around you. And here's the truth most founders don't hear until they're already burned out. Protecting your capacity is not a personal preference. It's a strategic business decision. Because when your energy is protected, your decision-making improves. When your decision-making improves, your revenue stabilizes. When your revenue stabilizes, growth becomes sustainable instead of extractive. Calm is not a personal trait. It's an operational advantage. The founder who can think clearly makes better decisions than the founder who's constantly firefighting. When you have space, you see that a client keeps asking for revisions because your initial scope wasn't clear. You fix the scope document once and the problem stops repeating. When you're overwhelmed, you just handle the revisions and move on, and the pattern continues with the next client. The founder who has space in her calendar can see patterns that the overscheduled founder misses. You see that every time you onboard a new client without a clear process, the first 2 weeks are chaotic. So you build an onboarding sequence once, and every future client experience improves. When you're back-to-back all day, you're too busy putting out fires to see what's causing them. The founder who protects their energy can sustain growth longer than the founder who's running on adrenaline and willpower. You can take on a new client without dreading the additional load because your systems handle the intake. You can launch a new offer without burning out because you're not also managing every operational detail manually. This is not about doing less because you can't handle more. This is about redesigning how the business runs so it doesn't require all of you to function. The business doesn't get smaller. Your role in keeping it running does. So here's what I want you to do. And this is concrete. This is not about noticing. This is about gathering data that will prove to you whether your capacity matters strategically or not. Step 1, identify one reoccurring decision or obligation that consistently drains your energy. Not the biggest one, not the most obvious one, just one thing. Every time it shows up, you feel the weight of it. Maybe it's a client check-in process that requires too much back and forth. Maybe it's a weekly task you've been doing manually for months. Maybe it's an offer you're still delivering even though it no longer fits where your business is now. Step 2. Before you remove it, write down what you think will happen if you stop doing it. What you're afraid will break, what consequence you're trying to prevent. This step matters because most of the time the thing draining your energy isn't actually protecting your revenue. It's protecting an old version of how you thought the business had to run. Step 3. For a defined period, 2 weeks, maybe a month, remove it or pause it. Not forever, not as a permanent decision, just as an experiment. Step 4. Pay attention to what actually happens. Not just to your schedule, to your energy, to your clarity, to the decisions that become easier when that one thing isn't taking up space in your head. And if nothing breaks, if your revenue doesn't drop, if your clients don't leave, if the business keeps running, you've just identified something that was costing you capacity without adding value. That's not optimization, that's reclamation. That's proof that your business can run with less of you than you think it needs. Here's what I know to be true. Nothing is wrong with your ambition. Nothing is wrong with wanting more. The constraint is not your capability. The constraint is that your business wasn't designed to grow without requiring more of you. You've been conditioned to believe that growth requires more effort, more availability, more personal stretch. But the truth is, growth without intentional design creates instability. And at this stage of business, the question is not, how do I do more? The question is, how do I redesign this so it doesn't require all of me to run? Because capacity is not the opposite of ambition. Capacity is what allows ambition to scale. So if this landed with you, here's what I want you to do this week. Ask yourself, where does growth currently require more of me than it should? And when you find it, ask yourself, is this a capability issue or a design issue? Because if it's a design issue, the solution is not to push harder. The solution is to build differently. You don't need to do more. You need your business to require less. And that shift, that's where sustainable revenue actually lives. Because here's what most people miss. Until we define what actually matters first, our systems will collapse before we even start. And I'll dive deeper into that on next week's podcast. Thanks for listening, and I can't wait to get to the bottom of this with you. Hey friends, thank you so much for tuning in to the Time for Living podcast today. If this episode inspired you to take action and save time, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a written review and subscribe over on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback means the world to me and helps us reach even more amazing people like you. If you know a friend who needs to hear this message, share this episode with them. And remember, your time is precious, so make every moment count. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep living, and keep making time for what matters most.